What is light, actually? Technically speaking, it's electromagnetic radiation. In 1609, when Galileo developed the first use of a telescope and pointed it into the night sky, what he saw really changed everything about the place we know and find ourselves in the cosmic world. Literally everything that we know about the universe comes from light. I took astronomy at San Diego State here in our town in the spring of 1999, and I learned there that when you turn on a light in a room, what appears to be instantaneous illumination of the place is actually light traveling really, really fast. What Albert Einstein discovered in his theory of general relativity is that there's a limit to how fast light can travel, and that can actually be measured, which tells us things. Light travels just under 300 million meters per second. Now, with powerful telescopes like the Hubble telescope and the Planck satellite, we can literally look backward in time, look far back in time, nearly 13.7 billion years, and see some of the history of the cosmos. As Sir William Bragg said, light brings us the news of the universe. It tells us something. If you think about it on a much smaller level, just imagine what we would know about ourselves and about the world if we did not have light. We didn't have light. I mean, sight is one of the primary 5 human senses, right? Think about what it would be like if you could only smell, taste, touch, and hear, but not see. Our knowledge of ourselves and the world would be extremely limited. Think of the knowledge that comes from light. Light has aided more scientific discoveries than any other tool. Now, what's incredible is that nearly every single theory of cosmogony, that's the beginning of the cosmos, out there, it ends by saying that the universe began as an expanse of nearly pure light, of a burst of pure light. Most call it the Big Bang. I like to call it the let there be. The let there be light. Now, the more that we discover about our world and our universe, it really ought to cause us to marvel at how great and how powerful and how good God is. That's what it's meant to do in us. Interestingly, the ancients obviously had no such conception of the universe that we do now with the technology that we have, but they still knew that light was central. So much so that many, they worshipped the sun as a god. Lots of different names for him: Aten, Re, Helios, many others. In fact, there's 111 different names for the deity of the sun from ancient cultures and peoples of the world. People have always loved the sun and known that it's central. It's been central for human life and thriving. Now, the God of the Bible, however, he introduces himself differently, not as a sun god. He declares himself to be something much bigger and something much greater, the creator and ruler over the sun and everything else and all of light. So let's look a little bit closer at these words, let light shine out of darkness. Now, the word darkness in the Bible, Old Testament is originally written in Hebrew that was translated into English for us. This word darkness, it has connotations not only of not having color, but also of a chaos or the void or death or non-existence. So when Genesis 1:4 says God separated the light from the darkness, another way of saying it is that he invaded or conquered the darkness or brought existence or life and light into it. Physicists actually say that there's actually no real darkness in the universe. What we see as the dark space between the stars, if you look up into the night sky, it actually glows with a soft luminosity called cosmic wave background. So much like Psalm 19:1 in the Bible says, the heavens declare the glory of God. The sky above proclaims his handiwork. His light shines in the darkness. So God is the creator. And when he creates, and the very first thing he creates is light. So he creates light, and then he stops, and he pauses, and reflects on what he just did. And then he looks at it, and he says, 1:4, God saw that the light was good. It was good. This, my friends, I would argue, is the very first joy. This is the very first joy, the first statement of joy in the Bible, and the very first expression of joy that is declared in all of time. It's this emotive statement. This is God smiling. Oh, this is good. Statement of joy. God saw that the light was good, and he rejoiced in the light he created. He saw it was good. His heart overflowed in happiness. Robert Gosseteste, the Chancellor of Oxford in the early 1200s, he said this: when the Creator generated light in the beginning and dispersed the darkness, sadness was dissolved and every creature was full of joy. Ever since God created the light, all of his creations, plants, animals, human beings, they have flourished in his light. We don't really have to go further than Christmas lights to see this. You guys like looking at Christmas lights? We have this tradition in our family that we do on Christmas Adam. That's the day before Christmas Eve, Christmas Adam, where we go look at Christmas lights, and then we have Chinese food afterwards. So the Chinese food part's not from the Bible, but it's good anyway. Now, there's just something about looking at Christmas lights that makes us happy, I think. Decorating our house at Christmas time, after Thanksgiving is always a really fun thing for our family. We decorate our tree and all of our house, indoors and outdoors. And the best part's when we're all done and we turn on the lights. We turn off all the lights and just turn on the Christmas tree light. And we just stand around and we're like, oh, isn't that great? Then we go outside and we stand on the sidewalk and look at the house and enjoy the lights. There's something about it. It just makes our hearts happy. Looking at the lights. When the lights come on and we see what they uncover, we see what God saw, that it's good. What light uncovers is good. What light is meant to uncover is meant to fill our hearts with joy. God's light, both his physical light and his spiritual light, it's meant to invade the darkness, driving away sadness and filling us with joy and wonder. Today, are there some maybe sad things in your life where you really need God's light to come in and drive away the sadness, to drive away the darkness? Maybe God himself or the things of God have become kind of old and stale to you, and you once again need God's light to come into your life, to where then you're once again astounded by him, where your joy is renewed and your heart is full of what you find in God. What's interesting is that our passage that we're looking at today in 2 Corinthians 4:6, it really connects and anchors the joy that comes from knowing Jesus and being a Christian. It connects and anchors that to the joy that comes from God's creation of light in the universe. It's been said that there's really only two great acts of God. Now God is acting all of the time. He's an active God, very involved, sustains all things by his power. He's done many stupendous events throughout history and in the stories of the Bible, the Exodus, and all kinds of miracles and things like that. But the two greatest acts of God that he has ever done is creation, the act of creation where he created all things, and the act of redemption, where he sent his son Jesus into the world to save sinners like you and I, to redeem us. And he sent his son into the world as light. The two great acts of God. When God took on flesh in the form of a little baby in Jesus, we're celebrating this season, once again, just like he did in the very beginning when he created light, God did a big thing. He created light. He sent light into the world once again in monumental fashion. Sent light into a dark world full of dark hearts for us. There's light in the sun. Our biggest need is to see it and to see how good God's light is.